Wrapped up. Hey everyone, welcome to Workforce Gaming. I am Brad here with Doug.
Hi.
Today was the Xbox media briefing, E3 presentation. These all have weird, dumb names.
Yeah, it's the E3 conference. That's what everybody calls them.
It's the E3 thing, but they had to give it some weird name. But anyway, this just wrapped up here in the last hour or so. So
Yep.
What we're going to do is we're just going to kind of talk about some of our favorite things that happened. We're not necessarily going to go line by line through this thing just because there's some things that we're really not interested in, but we'll just
it'd be kind of weird. Like, you don't want to hear our opinions on Sea of Thieves, and you don't want to hear say we don't care about a thing. We're just not going to talk about it.
Yeah, so we'll just hit the highlights here and some of the things that we're really excited about.
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm going to start with what I'm most excited about, which is Halo Infinite. Oh my god.
I'm shocked.
Halo Infinite. Oh my god. I don't know what that is.
Rumor has it's a battle royale game. I'm just fucking with you, man. I'm just
Okay, I was gonna say. I was about to. Yep. Okay. Like I said, I happened to miss this live, so Doug has had a little bit more time to ingest some of this news than I have, so that wouldn't have shocked me. But anyway, what appears to be just the next setup in the Halo game, and just the quick tease we got of it, like, I feel like it's very much not something we've seen in Halo before, just with these gorgeous environments, which we've seen before. And just, it seemed like there was more of this focus on the world and just, I don't know. I don't even want to read too much into it. I just like knowing that it exists and it looks like that of all things, because I think even that's what you said is just, it didn't look like Halo, which I think kind of grabs you from the start, is that because that could have really been anything until you get the cool music cue and the Master Chief's helmet there. It really could have been any game.
Yeah, I think the thing with like a lot of Halo trailers in general, like they want to tell you it's a Halo trailer like almost immediately.
Yep.
They want to bring Master Chief out as quick as possible, and I like that this one really held it to the end. So me as a person who's not totally interested in Halo, it is cool that it kind of like drew me in. I was like, oh, I like these creature designs. Oh, I love these vistas. Oh, I love this. Oh, this is Halo. Wow, I'm okay. Cool.
Yeah, it reminded me of, I think it was last year's E3 at Sony when they started with Lost Legacy for Uncharted. And the whole time they had, I think it was Chloe, and she had like a hood on, and you couldn't quite tell what it was. You weren't sure, was it the last one? What was this? And it was just that cold open like that. And it had that same feeling like, what is this? Like, what could it be that they're working on that looks like this? And then you realize like, oh my gosh, it's Halo. And yeah, I don't really think there's a lot to read into that, but just, it looks incredible. It exists. I mean, we knew there was another one coming. It's one of those things where I played 5, and I mean, I was Halo, like Xbox 360 Halo was, I mean, if I were to list my favorite games ever, 1 through 4 are pretty much all up there.
Yeah.
I play the hell out of those games, and 5 was just such a down moment for me that just the feeling I got seeing that trailer brought me right back to forgetting, like, oh yeah, like, no, I'm sure 5 was 5. I'm probably just remembering it wrong, but it's more Halo.
No, I mean, I can understand the feeling, because I don't know, that trailer got me very excited. I think it's kind of cool too, because I did play quite a bit of Halo 1, I think in high school, with friends and stuff. And I like that it had that feeling. I think when the first time I played Halo, it had like this like open vistas, like, oh, I can go anywhere in a first person shooter. It has like these nice green flowing hills. And I don't know if that carried over to the rest of the series, but like to me, it gave me Halo 1 vibes.
And
which I thought was really cool.
It did very much feel like that, because I think some of the issues with 5 and even towards the end of the earlier ones is it gets so deep into this lore, and there's so much when you go to the books and you go to all this other stuff. There's just so much lore, and I feel like the trailers tried to convince you of a lot of that.
Yeah.
And this trailer is just like, no, you know what? We're going back to, like you said, that looked very similar to some of the open areas when you just jump in the Warthog in the first Halo and just drive around the planet.
Yeah.
And that's what they showed, is they just showed this planet, and then the only real thing that looked maybe like it could have been something out of a gameplay clip was it looked like a mongoose that they were on, just driving through this, going up to a spire. So it looked very, very reminiscent of Halo, which I think I even asked you, because again, I was kind of typing back and forth with you while I was watching this, because you'd already seen it. Like, is this a remake? Is this a remaster? Like, what is this? Because it's just Infinite. It's not 6, which I do feel like once you get up to those higher numbers, eventually you got to drop the number, or people aren't just going to be interested in it anymore.
Yeah, it kind of it feels like a clean slate, which is nice.
Yeah.
But it doesn't feel like a reboot or a remake. It just feels like they're cleaning the slate a bit.
Yeah, the nice soft reboot. We've still got the basics. We still got those continuing storylines, but it's a good jumping in point if you're not there yet. I guess one that you're probably a little bit more excited about than I am is the final reveal of Shadows Die Twice. You are a huge From Software person.
Yes.
And just I'm not a big From Software fan. In fact, I don't like any of their recent games. I'm not a Souls person. But this, just the trailer in itself got me kind of pumped, just with kind of this ninja feel and this Onimusha look, and the reason that it wasn't at Sony, the Ghost of Tsushima look. What were your thoughts? Was this what you wanted? I mean, this is kind of your big moment, I feel like, at E3.
I think it definitely doesn't hit as hard as previous From Software games. I think even if you're not interested in Bloodborne, that trailer, that initial trailer of Bloodborne, was incredible. Like it's definitely one of those things that like draws you in. It's like, oh, what is this? What is this? And then it's like, oh wow, what's this cool setting and stuff. And this is just like you were saying, you described it as 3 or 4 different things that we've seen previously.
Yeah.
To me, and it kind of looks like Neo. I think maybe this is not made. This is probably made around the same time, so they weren't aware of each other, kind of thing. It looks very much like a Tenchu Souls game, which is kind of cool. But it didn't really show a lot of sneaking, and it showed just a lot of kind of, to me, I think, basic Souls combat. It looked a little bit faster, but I think the whole series has been speeding up in general recently. But it didn't really hit me as hard. It kind of looked like, oh, this is kind of what I thought Japanese Souls would look like.
Like if you took it and put it in that environment, was what you're saying.
Yeah, exactly.
The Japanese setting.
Yeah, and to me that was almost like kind of disappointing, because it was sort of what I was expecting. I was like, oh, okay, this makes sense that if you're gonna do a Souls game and you're putting the setting. And the thing is, like, Neo already kind of did that, so it already kind of looks like Neo, but it kind of looks a little bit more like Souls, and it kind of looks a little old compared to some of the other games they're showing. So I mean, I'm excited for it. Like, it's like one of those things that I'm definitely excited to get. But to me, if it was like Bloodborne 2, I would pre-order it like immediately. It's like, oh, I want more of that Bloodborne universe. And this, when I saw it, I was expecting to go, oh, I want to pre-order that immediately, but it doesn't immediately have that like grasp that Bloodborne had on me. Like that gothic horror is a weird, cool setting. This just looks like Japanese Souls. Like that's what it looks like.
So I guess you're saying that it doesn't necessarily have that unique art direction that you see in some of these other From Software games. I feel like Bloodborne had really unique creatures, really unique enemies. Yeah. Souls gets into that. This does very much feel like, I at one point thought, like, did they get Onimusha somehow? Like, it almost has that look to it, where it's just kind of, okay, yep, it's Japanese with some monsters in it.
Yeah, it kind of feels like with Souls in general, like they always put their like neat little twist on like medieval settings, and let's put our twist on it, and that's Souls. Okay, here's this cool like gothic horror setting, but let's put our own twist on it, and add the Cthulhu myths. That's our twist on it. The thing is, like, Japanese fighting monsters in Japan has been done before. Neo did it recently. Onimusha's done it before. Tenchu's done it. It's like a setting that's been kind of tread before, and that's always the thing that draws me the most into these games, the setting. The grapple hook looks cool. And that's all I got to say about that.
Nice, yeah. And again, I think as somebody who's not interested in From Software, just that quick glance at the combat kind of made me go, oh, still not for me. Even though it's a little faster, just still not for me.
Yeah.
So one of the other games they showed kind of early on in this was Ori Will of the Wisps, which, I don't know, did you ever play the first Ori game?
I didn't. It always looked kind of cool, but I didn't have a PC at the time, and I didn't have an Xbox.
That's such a game that you would love. You could probably find that cheap. You should go find that. You would like that a lot. But the new one looks like more of the same in a really, really good way. I think a lot of times that gets construed negatively, but this looks like more Ori, which the first one is fantastic. It looks incredible.
Yeah.
Just they do so much so many cool things with the environment, and there's just so much that's kind of shifting around, and just it's such a beautiful game, just like the way the colors work. And I feel like when I talk about Ori, just because those are the things that really interest me about this game.
Yeah,
I'm not a big Metroidvania type style game person, but these ones, just there's something special about the first one, and this just looks like it's continuing that.
Yeah, I think the thing that I find like immediately striking about it is I always think there's sort of like a clash of like 2D games, 3D games, and 2.5Ds. This, for whatever, I don't know how this game hit what it hit, but it has this very nice 2.5D where some of the background elements are 2D, some of them are 3D, and it just looks incredible. I think what's the gameplay? How'd you feel about the gameplay? Because once it started, it just kind of looked like Ori 2. Are you okay with that?
Yeah, and I think, again, that's what I mean. Yeah, that's what I mean by more of the same, where it's just, yep, this is what I want. I want more of the same. This isn't it's not one of those big games where I really need to see this huge evolution every time. Just, you did it once, it was awesome. Let's do it again, but maybe and add a little bit here, make it a little bit bigger, add some scale to it, those kind of things. And I think that's perfectly fine. And I think that's what a lot of smaller games like this get away with, because it's a short game. And I think just having that 3 to 4 hour experience, having another 3 to 4 hour experience a couple years later, I think keeps things fresh in and of itself.
Oh, gotcha. Because it has never worn out its welcome with a 10, 12-hour game. So if you get a bunch of 4-hour, that's a good point. No, I never thought about it like that.
Yeah. So what I'm assuming is going to be another kind of short, small game is The Awesome Adventures of Captain Spirit. I love Life is Strange a lot.
Yeah, this one, because like Brad had said earlier, like I had actually watched the conference live, and I was sort of texting Brad things as they came up, and I kept this one quiet because I know how much you like the Life is Strange one, so I was actually kind of excited. So, yeah, you love that series. So how do you feel about this?
I don't know.
Oh,
I like it's one of those things where it's like, I feel like Life is Strange Before the Storm was my intermediate, like, okay, pump the brakes, wait for Life is Strange 2, it's coming.
Gotcha. Yeah.
And now it's like, okay, you paused for a second.
Yeah. Pause
for one more second. We'll get there. It's interesting. I like the look of it. I like the sound of it. I'm curious about the age range, just because you played a younger Chloe in, or not younger Chloe, sorry, younger Chloe, sorry. You played a younger Chloe in Before the Storm.
Yeah.
And now, okay, we're going even a little bit younger. And I don't know. I just feel like a lot of the themes and stuff that in this, the other games are fairly dark. They're serious, and just, I don't know, going to that age range just seems a little bit different, just with some of the more tragic things that happen in these games.
I don't know. The dad was an alcoholic and his mom's dead, I think.
Well, but that's what I mean. Like, I don't know if, like, emotionally for myself, I don't know if I want to experience that from the perspective of like a 7-year-old versus like a 15-year-old. I feel like that in and of itself changes a little bit of the feeling of the game.
That makes sense.
That makes me a bit nervous, just because I don't know. It just feels kind of like, oh God, okay, like you already take these to a dark place. This feels like this might be you're taking it to a dark place, and you're putting me from like an even more innocent perspective on these types of things.
Gotcha. Yeah.
I like that they're adding back in the supernatural stuff a little bit more. I like that, again, it has that feeling immediately of like, okay, yep, this is a very similar situation. Mm-hmm. It's very, very in the mood of the original Life is Strange. It's just that subtle little thing of being like, okay, now you're like a 7-year-old. And it's one of those things where the trailer tries to sell it so hard on that, like, happy-go-lucky, like, look at me, I'm just playing in the background blowing up a snowman. Yeah. I'm just waiting for that, like, emotional bombshell to drop of, like, oh, God. And that just makes me nervous with this one. That's my one thing with that.
I can sort of understand that. There's, like, a few other games, and even movies and stuff in general. Like, there's, like, you're watching, like, a hardcore R-rated movie, and then like a kid's in it. It's like, don't kill the kid. Don't.
And that's what it is. Where it's just like, don't. The kid's mom's already dead. His dad's clearly kind of an asshole. What else are you gonna do to this poor kid? Like that's the feeling I get with this. Where it's just like, I don't know if I want to see what you're gonna do to this poor kid. He looks like he's having a good time.
That's really funny. That was not the reaction I was expecting at all. That's funny. It's coming out. It's coming out the end of June, though. I mean, it's coming out quick.
Soon. It's a couple weeks, so I will for sure be buying it day one just to check it out, because I love Life is Strange, and anything more with that. I am curious just to see, like, I feel like there's got to be some weird connection back to Max and Chloe with this. Like, you're not just going to put this complete offshoot. There's got to be something where, like, this kid's somehow connected, like, somewhere or another. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it does. It's kind of thing that's kind of weird. I don't know. I haven't played Life is Strange. So, like, the Life is Strange universe, is it possible that there can be other stories in the Life is Strange universe, or does it just happen to that one character in this universe? It's like possible whatever happened to her happens to other people as well.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing with this, where it does kind of almost open that door for Life is Strange 2 of going, okay, there is more supernatural stuff going on than just what happened to Max in the first one.
Oh, okay,
And I think that's where they're kind of take this, and I think that's the direction they're trying to maybe point for Life is Strange 2. Like, okay, not only does Max have the supernatural stuff going on, but this whole world has a bit more to it than we originally let on.
Gotcha. And you're just like, it's just another stopgap before Life is Strange 2.
Yeah, that's honestly like my one thing with it, where it's just like, I want the second one. I want that full big second thing.
Gotcha.
So to kind of slow things down and skip around a little bit more here, getting away from games, they kind of announced something in the middle that I was actually pretty excited about, which was they acquired a whole bunch of studios.
Yeah.
5 to be exact. Most of them make sense, and I think several of them we both kind of thought, oh, I thought you already owned them.
Yeah, if you're a small studio making Xbox exclusive games, I just assumed you're owned by Microsoft.
Yeah, but I think that's kind of thing like Housemarque. I think a lot of people assume is owned by Sony, and they're not. Like I think it's like true. That kind of relationship with a lot of these. So, kind of biting the bullet on a couple of those. But the only really shocking one was Ninja Theory.
Yeah,
which I love Ninja Theory games.
They're a lot. Good.
Like Enslaved, Hellblade, they're DMC. They're just so good.
Yeah.
And I know they fit that weird like second tier game, that mid tier game so well. I'm really curious to see what they do with like being a full first party studio now that they've been purchased. Does Microsoft pump more money into it and try and make them into a big AAA studio, which I almost feel like they tried to do with Heavenly Sword?
They did. I mean, that's what happened. Like their story is like they were that studio, and then they basically lost all of that, and then like rebooted themselves as like this scrappy indie studio, and now they're bought by Microsoft, and it's like now they're back again.
Yeah, so it's like, and again, I think their strongest stuff came out of being that scrappy indie studio. So
exactly, yeah.
So you pump them full of money again. Do we get another game where like Heavenly Sword, where Heavenly Sword's fine? It's not a great game, but it's fine.
Yeah.
You seem like you have a bit of a different opinion on that, but
oh no, it's just like I think most of their games are fine. There's I like DMC is my favorite one by them, but that's the only one I've played, to be totally honest.
You haven't played
Hellblade? No, I haven't played that or Heavenly Sword. I did play Heavenly Sword for like 5 minutes, and I was like, not for me.
Jeez. Okay, well, I'm disappointed. But yeah, no, I like it. I'm curious to see what they do. It's just kind of a weird move, and I think it's a good move by Microsoft to really try and catch up to Sony in terms of exclusives and what they've got going for them. Moving back on to the big games, and this is one that like I have no clue where the hell this came from in the middle of this press conference, is Devil May Cry 5.
Oh baby. Oh
yeah,
baby.
So you go for it.
This is a weird one. Devil May Cry 5 ended up being much weirder than I thought it would be. I thought Devil May Cry 5 in my head was a game that was going to just essentially be a sequel to Devil May Cry 4 and completely not acknowledge that DMC ever even happened.
Yeah. Goes right back to all the Japanese like original stuff.
Yeah, and then be heavily like anime inspired and all that sort of thing. But it actually looks like they took a lot of inspiration from DMC, which I personally like. Like I always feel like every time I say like DMC, it's like, by the way, I play all the other games. I like those too. But no, I really like DMC, and I think the thing that DMC did really well was it had this sort of punk rock attitude to it that DMC 3 and that 3 had that 4 didn't really have. So like it seems like they're trying to go back to that sort of like punky attitude of a bunch of these characters just doing cool shit all the time. The style looks really weird. It kind of looks like Resident Evil. It's on the Resident Evil 7 engine.
Yeah.
And I think it's kind of cool because I think to me it was kind of neat that it kind of looked like Resident Evil because the series had started as a Resident Evil game before it got turned into Devil May Cry as we know it. So it kind of gave me that DMC Devil May Cry 1 vibes because of that sort of like Resident Evil heritage in it. I like that Nero is actually still the main character. He was actually my favorite character in 4, and I'm glad they brought him back as the main character here. And it was kind of interesting because they didn't really do a lot of like intrigue to the story necessarily. It seemed more just showing the game. And I thought the whole point of DMC5 was like, we're going to talk about the story, and they don't really, which I thought was kind of interesting.
I think that story part is that hardcore fan base. That's what we want. But I think at the same point in time, just doing enough to go, and especially the way the game looks, because like you said, it does look very much like DMC.
Yeah.
I think a lot of what they wanted to show with this is we kind of blended the two. We don't want the reaction we had when DMC came out, which was just complete uproar at what's happening.
Yeah, yeah.
I think if you introduce this with a story character focusing on Nero, a story trailer focusing on Nero, I think you get a lot of that same reaction of, where the hell's Dante?
Yeah.
Why isn't Dante in this? And I think you kind of get that weird picture in people's head immediately of going like, this isn't what I wanted. Like I wanted more Dante. And I think the way they do it, where it's like going, okay, it's Devil May Cry 5. They start with the van, that little 5 in the corner was
so cool.
Amazing. And they start there, right? Yeah. And you get the cool gameplay, and you're kind of getting this DMC vibe, but you're kind of also seeing the clear inspiration from the original 4. and then just teasing Dante at the end, going like, okay, yep, this is Nero's story, but Dante's still here. It kind of felt like that safe play of like, this game, we want to speak to everybody who likes Devil May Cry.
Yeah.
You liked DMC, we still have some of that attitude, we still have some of that look. You like the Japanese stuff, it's still here. Yes, we're trying something new with putting Nero as the face here, but don't worry, Dante's still here. He's still in the little title card thing. He's coming in on the motorcycle at the end. He's still going to be a part of this. But we want this to kind of go back to even some of the other Devil May Cry games where you had those multiple playable characters, possibly with Dante coming in. I would assume at some point you get to play as Dante, or that's
oh yeah, for sure. I mean, well, there's like there's three people on the. They show the cover. There's three people: Dante, Nero, and a guy who may or may not be Virgil. They haven't. It's not quite clear if that's Virgil or not. Yeah, it's actually kind of interesting. This kind of feels like I think the thing that's most surprising about it is that it feels kind of like a soft reboot, which is not what I was expecting.
Especially after a full reboot. You went from like full reboot, soft reboot of original 4.
Yeah, I mean it is kind of weird. It kind of feels like, oh, this seems like almost like the intention of DMC was to like kind of do like a reboot of the series for a more Western audience. I don't think it's entirely the case. I mean, it definitely still has that Japanese influence, but it does feel like that. It kind of feels like that nice mesh of like horror, Japanese stuff, American side. It's really cool. I think it looks great. I think definitely the first time I saw the trailer, I was like, what is this? Just like, what am I even watching? But then on subsequent viewings, it's like, okay, no, I get it. I feel it. I get it. I'm getting it. And now I'm actually really excited for it. I think you're going to see a lot of people who have the immediate like gut reaction to it. Like there's going to be a lot of knee-jerk reactions to it. But I think it looks pretty cool.
Yeah. I mean, it has a lot to prove. Just, I feel like this series in general always has something to prove. Especially really since 4 with DMC, and now with this one, just like, okay, we know what we're doing. We can handle this, guys. Trust us.
Yeah.
The next game they showed, this was another game that I am not familiar with at all, but you kind of seemed like you had a little bit more of strong feelings towards, and that was something called Jump Force.
Oh yeah. Jump Force I think Jump Force was now that I think about it more, I think they expected this to be their Dragon Ball Z moment.
With Fighters last year.
Yeah, like their Fighter Z moment. And to me, the concept of this game is so funny. It's like, ask a 14-year-old anime kid what they would want to see in an anime game, and this is it. And they're like, okay, imagine if like Naruto and Goku and the guy from One Piece, whose name I can't remember, he would remember though, invaded our world. Like, wouldn't that be crazy? And it just looks like a trash, but it just looks like a trashy game. I don't know. It's really weird. Like having anime characters like destroy a real city is like really, really strange to me. I don't know. It just looks very silly. It's actually the Jump All-Star series. It's actually like an ongoing series of having all these characters from Shonen Jump magazine fighting. There's like 3 or 4 series of those kind of like mashup games. Some are like Smash, some are like the Naruto games, some are like the Ninja Storm games, some are like whatever the hell this is. It looked like it's literally what if anime invaded America, and that's just such a stupid idea to me that I think it's just hilarious.
I'm gonna be perfectly honest. I didn't know who anybody was other than Goku and Frieza, and I didn't know what the hell I was watching, and went, okay, that's done.
Yeah, and at the end they tease and Death Note's coming. It's like, oh my god, it's so stupid. But I think that's why I liked it, because it's just so offensively stupid.
It's Microsoft's like, we need something weird. We need to get that weird audio. We need some weird stuff in here just to kind of say like, look at all the crazy stuff we're doing. We're not just this thing you think we are. We're all over the place.
I mean, it's kind of like the Tails announcement. It's like not for me at all, but it's like kind of funny. It's like
very much for me.
Yeah. If you want to talk about that a little bit, it's just like it's trying to get all those like different facets, sort of thing.
Yeah. We want to hit all our audiences. We've got our Devil May Cry, we've got our Division, we've got our Battletoads, we got our Gears, we got our Halo, we got our Nier, we got our Fallout, we got a little bit of everything for everybody in this, which I think is a nice way to go. I think it doesn't quite give off some of the amazingly strong vibes that you sometimes get from Sony, where it just feels like every game is a just heavy hitter. Yeah. But it definitely gives you that nice, like, you know what? Every single person can watch this and go, you know what? I may not have liked everything, but man, Dying Light 2.
Yeah, you know what's kind of funny is what I was thinking about when Microsoft like first started. I think Microsoft in general, they try to like make every game for everyone, but
Yeah.
instead they're making a bunch of games for like niche audiences, which I think is a much smarter way of doing it. So yes, we have games for everyone. We're not making one game to reach everybody. We're just making a bunch of different games to hit all these different niche audiences.
Exactly.
Which is very cool.
Which brings us to Gears, which is trying to hit games for a whole bunch of niche audiences.
Completely ignoring what I just said. The exception to exact what I just said.
I will say I about punched my computer. I was watching I had my computer sitting up, my laptop sitting in front of me while I had it on the TV. I about just threw my computer through the air when they showed that Gears logo and those stupid Funko Pop guys popped out. I was so pissed.
So funny. That was so fun. They know that's the reaction. They know that's the reaction.
They do. And I think that's one of those things for every person who records this live, just to see their faces when that happens, just to see that moment of disappointment before they do eventually get into the meaty Gears 5 announcement. Oh, I was so pissed. But anyway, I don't even want to talk about that because we're going to move on.
I think it was very clever. I think it was funny because I like when they do like kind of the trolley stuff. I think that's funny.
I do too, but Gears you can't mess with. Don't mess with my Gears.
Don't mess with my Gears.
Don't mess with my Gears and don't mess with my Halo. They're the only thing you have for me, Xbox.
No.
Anyway, just really quick, Gears Tactics I think is a really cool idea, a really awesome way to kind of take the Gears universe and do something different with it. You've got Halo Wars, which I've never really bothered with Halo Wars. I can't do RTSs on a console, so I've just completely avoided that. But Gears Tactics, I think just taking that XCOM style, taking that tactical style, and just with some of the ways that you do Gears already and some of the way you approach skirmishes just with cover and just with the way you do squad work and stuff like that, I think it's a really easy transition into something like that. It does look an ungodly amount like XCOM. It looks like it's running on the same engine with the same everything, but that's something I'm excited for. That was, I think he said, pre-alpha footage even. So I mean, obviously it's got a long way to go, but just kind of a cool thing to throw out there. Cool way to expand Gears, because Gears is, unlike Halo, I feel like Gears has been pretty stuck just in that third-person shooter genre and hasn't really gone anywhere else. Gears 5, amazing.
What's that? Okay, no, I'm so you're very happy with that reveal.
I was very happy with that reveal.
Good.
I think, and I'm trying to go back to 4, and 4 to me I really liked when I played it, but it's very forgettable. I cannot remember a lot of points from Gears 4. And I was just even trying with the characters to go like, okay, I recognize one or two of these people, and I was trying to pick out who are the new characters, who are not new characters, and it's just that whole game just had just kind of this forgettable feeling, like just forgettableness to it. That I remembered Kate, who's the main character now in 5, and obviously like JD Martinez and Marcus Phoenix, or JD Martinez is a baseball player.
I knew that.
I remember the two Phoenix guys, obviously, but I think this one, just the way they're approaching the story with kind of going off, doing your own thing, going on this side, essentially it feels like the side mission to the overall Gears story of just like, we're trying to kill everything, where you do have more of a personal touch to it. You have somebody who's really trying to investigate into a little bit more of what's going on, more so than prior Gears games, which are really focused on just let's blow shit up. Where this feels like, okay, no, I want to go figure out what's going on, how to figure this out, what these things mean, why this is happening. And I think that's a cool direction to take a series that has traditionally just been bang, 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 explosion. So I'm really curious to see that. I do think like it is one of those things where like seeing Marcus Phoenix again, like I think a lot of us, and myself included, were expecting his death in 4. Still seeing him around is kind of going like, okay, like I like that you're just popping up. I really don't want him to be a main part of this, though, especially with how this series or this story feels like it's focusing so much on somebody else. I like that we're taking the focus off him to either put him into that kind of just like, okay, this is General Marcus Phoenix who just kind of sits at the base and every now and then gives you an order. Or just get rid of him, like kill him off in some cool dramatic moment. Just to really let somebody else new take this to spotlight, because I think that was part of the problem with 4 was that you're constantly around Marcus and you're just constantly never able to engage with these new characters because you're always getting cameos and things like that from the original trilogy. So I'm curious to see where they go with this. I love the way they revealed this as not necessarily just let's put in as big of moments as they can like they have in prior Gears games. Let's put in the big boss fight. You don't really see any of that. It's just a lot of the normal gameplay with a lot of the story development stuff going on, because there were some cool things that happened in 4 that I don't necessarily want to get into for obviously spoiler reasons, but
Yeah.
it was very, very interesting to see where they were taking this.
So okay, yeah, I mean, I thought it actually looked really cool. I'm glad. I know because I felt like when the trailer first started, had that whole like story section. I was like, I'm out because I don't know what the hell's. I have no idea what's going on. But then I was like, Brad's gonna explain this to me later. This is important.
Yeah, and again, I think Gears 4, like they had a couple story things that you can pick up on right there that you pick up right immediately on the trailer, but I almost feel like you could do like a quick 30-second recap of Gears 4 and pick up right where that looked like it was going, just with the way the story seems to be being handled based on that first trailer.
Mm-hmm.
But
okay, mm-hmm.
That brings us to the big years in the making event that ended and closed off the conference with the cool like interruption, like all the graphics going glitchy and everything.
I love that stupid shit. Oh my god,
it's so bad, but it's so good.
It's so corny and just, but it's just a good way to build like hype. That's what it is.
Yep, because you get there the whole time, just like, what is it? Like, and that whole like all the lines, you're just sitting there reading every line for like, what is that? What is that? Do I know that? Is there any little reference I can pick out in this to figure out what this is? And then it just like. It cuts in and just, oh my gosh, everything about Cyberpunk 2077 I love.
I
love it.
I don't you know what it is? It's just like because everybody said The Witcher 3 was really good, and I personally didn't like because of the setting. The setting was, I just don't like that setting. I don't like medieval stuff.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I didn't even bother with that game because I played The Witcher 2 and it looked like, okay, just fantasy settings in my mind have been done to death, and it's just it doesn't interest me at this point. And seeing this new one just is exactly what I want. It's fresh, it's cool, it's not something that's been done to death. It looks amazing.
Yeah, I don't know. It just looked. I don't know what to say. I'm trying to think of what to even talk about with it because there's just so much stuff going on. I think the thing that is kind of surprising though is because like when I thought of like The Witcher 3, I think it was like very wide open space, and this is like really dense. It's like cities. It's a very dense city. So I'm really curious like how they're gonna do that density. Are they gonna have like hundreds of people walking around in this like cyberpunk future and that sort of thing? Like that to me is very exciting. I hope they don't have like it'd be really cool if the setting is just a single city. It's not like it's a big open world, quote unquote, but it's just a single city, not like going off and way all over the place and just I don't know, man. There's just
and even like getting away from some of the open world stuff, a lot of the environments that they showed and the areas that they showed were tight. There was lots of interiors of buildings, there were trains, there were lots of things where it's like this doesn't necessarily have that same feeling as the Just Cause 4 demo did, where it's like clearly everything's out in the open, everything's this big open area. It did feel like you have this really dense city, but you also have a whole lot of much more intimate spaces to do different things in, whether it's on the train, whether it's in these boardrooms, whether it's in the weird rooms where they're plugging stuff into people and all kinds of crazy cool shit. But I don't know. I think that's one of those games that just at this point, just like we know how good this is going to be. Yeah. And it's just them teasing us until it comes out. That's really what I feel like with this. I don't think there's anybody who would see that trailer and go, like, and maybe that's just me putting a whole lot of my bias on there for weird future stuff. But just, it's one of those things I feel like I would need to watch like 100 more times to really see every detail that's in there.
I think it feels kind of like the Kojima Death Stranding trailers. Like he can get away with this. It's like something that like other series like couldn't get away with. But if you've made some of the best games ever, you can not put a date on this. You can just show like a trailer with no gameplay. It's essentially like an in-engine trailer with no gameplay, no date, no nothing.
But like because 5 years after you initially announced it.
yeah, exactly. But it's like they can get away with it because I think because they've earned that with The Witcher 3. And I don't know. It looks freaking awesome. It's kind of funny. They were really quiet about it being on Xbox One. There was no mention of it being on Xbox One or anything like that. So I think it could be a next-gen game. That could be our first look at a next-gen game.
Is also curious coming. I think that came fairly shortly after they announced that they were working on a new Xbox, didn't it?
Oh, good point. No, you are. I think right.
That was in Phil Spencer was doing his big long like 6-minute closing monologue there, and I think somewhere in that before I tuned out, he mentioned the new Xbox. So I do think that might have been the first game we saw after he mentioned that.
Yeah, if you want to throw more on the conspiracy theory, the next Xbox is called Scarlet, which is red, and all that red text that popped up right before the trailer too. Yeah. I'm glad to play that game in like 5 years from now.
Yep, that'll be a good time. It does have that Death Stranding feeling of like, yep, I want that. I know I'm not playing it soon.
Yeah, exactly.
But anyway, obviously there was a lot more that happened at the Microsoft conference. That's kind of some of the highlights that we picked out.
Yep.
Kingdom Hearts 3 looks like a lot more Kingdom Hearts stuff. Frozen had to happen.
Yeah, the thing is, like, the thing that's like, I don't like Frozen at all. That looks sweet. That looked still awesome.
Yeah, still look cool. There's still some cool monster design stuff in there. Division 2, I think the initial like not gameplay part of it was really interesting, and then the gameplay part just got to be more Division. So
yeah, I think that the game I wish it did more with its setting, because its setting is very cool.
Yeah, it had some really cool settings, and a lot of the political stuff it talked about in that initial trailer was interesting. So I'll be curious to see how that plays out. And then the 5 years too late Battletoads announcement was there.
Yep.
So that'll do it for this. We'll have more E3 stuff over the course of the week, and of course our normal stuff will be in and out as well. We are Workforce Gaming. We will you can follow us at Workforce Gaming, subscribe to us on YouTube, and we will see you later.
Bye.